The phone was ringing at 3 a.m. My eyes had focused on the glowing numbers of the digital alarm clock next to the bed. This was not good. 3 a.m. is not a fun time to be answering any kind of phone call. This is always a time when something is wrong and requires my input to precipitate a positive outcome. I have to say, after centuries of living, I love modern technology. But the fact that anyone can get hold of me at any time is bloody annoying. Yes, you're right. I could turn the phone off. I could. But then I would miss out on the excitingly grim things that happen. Just as this would be a probable nightmare I'd be waking up to now, I found it amusing that my dream-filled sleep was pleasant and fun, whilst my time awake currently had a nightmare quality. On top of this, if I did not pick the phone up, the likelihood was that death and mayhem were going to occur to some poor innocent somewhere. The problems that my life brought me were incredibly interesting and diverse, and so here we go. Let's see what supernatural thing had raised its head into reality tonight. I let the phone ring while I prepared myself to answer it. I scratched my bristly chin, sat up, and put my glasses on. I don't need them, but it's a habit for some reason to put them on while answering the phone. I plumped the pillows and sat up, reaching for the phone. I may as well be comfy, whilst in shock and disbelief, as this call would probably bring. Right, anyway, here goes, by the grace of God. Hello, Simon here. How can I help? I answered in my most reassuring tone. The voice on the other end of the phone was difficult to make out and way too loud. The distortion going into my ears was almost painful, and I held the phone away from me for a few moments before I realized that it was not a distortion. It was simply loud panic, vocalized. You have to know how to deal with these situations at these times. I needed to let the person vent and eliminate all that energy. If I tried to interrupt them, they would not be able to focus. Let them pour out that emotion until they'd spent it. I allowed the person to rant until it went quiet at the other end of the line. I had allowed them to exercise the emotion they were feeling, and once all the noise had ceased and I could hear heavy breathing, I returned my delicate ear to the phone. I hear you, but I didn't get all of it. Could you repeat the key details, please? I've got a bad line at this end here. It was a lie, but in this case it would be more straightforward and less diversive explanation for why I didn't understand them, that they needed to calm the heck down. Aha, I see. I was scratching my head and sitting up in bed, feeling my own adrenaline and cortisol levels spiking. Sorry, just give me a moment to take that all in, I said, removing my glasses and rubbing my forehead. I had to think about what had just been said. Okay. I'll just repeat what you said. And could you just confirm each part of it for me? I asked. This is, unless I am very much mistaken, the mortuary at the Manchester Royal Infirmary. Correct? Okay, let me just get something to note the details down, please. I opened the drawer of the bedside stand, taking out a trusty moleskin notebook and pencil. I opened it to a fresh page and noted MRI in the corner of said page. Okay, right. You have the casualties of the fire and the military operation that occurred last night in your facility. Yes? I wrote this down and then turned my attention back to the terrified, ranting man on the other end of the phone. No, it's okay. Gosh, stay calm, will you? Gosh, it's okay. Take a few breaths, why don't you? Goodness me. I tried to reassure him, but the man was a fool. No, please don't worry. This must be extremely disturbing for you. You say that one of the body bags is moving. Are you sure? I was stunned into silence for a moment. Sorry, could you repeat that? It sounded like you said that body bag 7 is moving. Sorry, something, what do you mean? Something is moving, in it? I was noting all this down, and I knew I would ask the following question and get an answer I really didn't want to hear. I was already sitting on the edge of the bed with my feet planted on the floor. Alarms were ringing in my head as I looked at the clock. 3:12 a.m. It would take me at least 25 minutes at this time of day to get to the morgue. Gosh. I hope I can get there before. Jeepers. Before what? Well, it's cool. Really, I'm actually not too fond of werewolves. They're not simple supernatural creatures with definitive law. They always seem to surprise you with some new thing that really shouldn't be possible. Well, before I knew it, I was standing, leaning over the side table as I prepared myself for the next question-answer. And the question was, please, just confirm for me, which body bag was that? It's not 7, is it? Well, I realise it doesn't seem that important, but believe me, it really is. It's a very poignant question for you, and for everybody else that's there. Gosh. It may even be a question of life and death. Okay, I see. That's not good. That's not good at all. I paused for thought for a moment, but it was a moment way too long for the man at the other end of the line. Okay, I need you to listen very carefully to me. You need to seal off the body chamber that the bag is in. I believe they're quite strong and can be locked. Correct? Then I need you to seal the facility and leave immediately. No, you need to leave immediately. Look, if the thing in that bag gets out, it will likely be very unhappy and very unpredictable. So please, expedite this situation. A full evacuation on the morgue site immediately is necessary. I'm on my way. Just get out. Sorry, no. I don't know if everything's going to be okay. It's not a simple question to answer, but I will say this. The longer we talk, you and I, here on this phone, and that you don't leave, the more likely it is it will turn into a veritable bloody horror show of death and mayhem down there. So can I ask you politely, please? I paused. To get off the damn phone so I can get you the help you need and I can get there before the contents of bag bloody 7 kills a lot of you! I now had the phone ringing for my liaison in the police force. The phone was on speaker while I readied myself in, well, what turned out to be record time. As a sleep-filled voice answered the phone at the other end, I was already in my coat and on my way to the car. I went back from using the speakerphone to using the handset mic. "Hi, this is Simon," I told the woman who had answered. I gave her a brief moment to let her process this in her restarting brain. "You need everything you've got down at the infirmary mortuary as soon as possible. Right there, right now, actually. No time to spare. Just get them all bloody down there. All of them. Everything you've got." "Yes, all of it." "Yes. Well, it looks like our werewolf is back. Literally. Back from the dead."
Will. Well, that went better than I thought. I'd punched the Archangel Gabriel, known as Gabe to his friends apparently. I know you're probably thinking how on earth did I punch the Archangel Gabriel, but if that's what you're thinking, then I'm afraid you may not realise that I'm not on earth, I'm in heaven. I'm currently in the queue. Well, it's not really a queue, there's no one else here but me to get into heaven. Yeah, me in heaven. I don't get it either. Over the past few days, months, years, I'm not sure, because time is like that drunken relative. I don't really know what time's passed. I've so far been killed in an awful accident where several soldiers had blown me up with a white phosphorus bomb. It was not an accident in their eyes, it was a successful operation to kill the werewolf beast killer thingy. It was an accident from my point of view, because I should not have relied on my high level of unkillability not to die. Since the death, I've enjoyed a journey into hell. Oh, and do you know what? I did enjoy it. It was a wonderful experience. On TripAdvisor, I'd give it 6 out of 5. Episode 126 tells a story. You can listen to the episode if you want. That'd be nice. And then you could review it, and you could share it with your friends, and you could say, "How amazing, werewolf stories. Ah, la, 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 la." Anyway, sorry. Back to the story. On my way to the city of Pandemonium, yeah, the actual city of Pandemonium, I was waylaid by Lucifer. I suppose waylaid isn't the correct description of how we met. We sort of bumped into each other. I think it may have been on her behest, but it was definitely a bump not a waylay. She didn't waylay. I don't know. She just bumped into me. She had been my dark, feminine dream of a woman, and we'd run through an honest conversation. The chat had been about the fact that I needed to feel guilt in order to be made to suffer in hell, and the fact that, well, to be honest, I don't really feel any guilt. This really... it's difficult to describe what it did, but I think it would be simply said that it really pissed her off. When I had eventually fallen, I had to fall into hell. It took a very long time. I'd found hell's minions, the demons and shit. I'd found them funny and not frightening, and had melted them with laughter and much mirth. It turns out that they're held together with spite and hate, so if you take that away, they sort of fall apart. This led me to the headmistress's office. Oh, there's a fantasy. To her office. Well, it was a lift, or you Americans call it an elevator, that Hell's Demon Resources had put in for the inclusion of all hell-damned souls in a journey to horror and hell. This shows that humans could invent horrors that even the Great Deceiver had not considered. Human resources invented by the most evil humans who lived had been transferred to hell, so they made their own inclusive group in demon resources. I wonder how they did it, you have to make special circumstances for tentacles and breathing bladders and, evil intentions. I don't know. The chat in the elevator had led me to be dumped in heaven at the pearly gates for him upstairs to deal with. You know who I mean, don't you? Yeah, you do. He's God and all that. Lucifer Morningwood, because that's what she'd give you. Do you get what I did? I took Morning Star, and then had just decided that she could no longer take this particular level of special educational needs, and had taken me to those that in most cases would have to care. Them upstairs would probably have to do something. So here I am, bizarrely, looking at an angel on the phone while feeling awkward with the gate warden, Derek Jenkins. A nice man. "I know not why he is here," the angel said over the handset while briefly looking at me and offering a discouraging smile. You know the type of smile I mean, the one that is given when the smug bastard who's giving it is trying to portray how you are not only in deep shit, but you are fathoms down and, still sinking. I just waited, drumming my fingers on my thighs as I looked around the truly now monotonous landscape. It was beautiful, it was beautiful, but gosh, it was dull. Nothing was happening. There were more cherubs that flew over to check out what was going on, and several of them had started a little medley of tunes with heavenly instruments. The other cherubs were dancing and having heavenly fun. It was a little much to deal with them having all this joy, so I slowly made my way to the desk, and turning my back, I managed to sneak the holy statue with its funny saying into my hand. The angel nestled nicely, comfortably in the palm, and felt the right weight, and I covered the little dedication of, "You don't have to be holy to work here, but it helps," with my palm. We'll see how holy this will be. I slipped the ornament into my right palm and very quickly threw it with every ounce of my strength at the little cherub band. It flew straight and true, and the two cherubs directly in its line did nothing but watch its arc in its arrival to where they sat. Unluckily for me, Gabe, caught me in the moment of throwing the object and, with a nod of his head, froze it in its trajectory just before it crushed the cherub's head. Why hadn't he done that before I'd hit him in the nose? Maybe he didn't believe I was actually going to hit him in the nose. I have no idea. "Bollocks!" I shouted with a true sense of defeat. Again, the knowing smile was shown by the angel, and the angel returned to his angelic conversation with whoever was on the other end of the heavenly phone call. I assume another angel. He wouldn't be talking to God, would he? I don't know. Would he be talking to God? The cherubs now had stopped their musical torture and looked at me with much effrontement, if that's a word. One of them flew to the statue, now gently spinning in the air, and with a flick of its finger set it spinning vertically in the air. He seemed very pleased with himself, and all the other little angels giggled and clapped their appreciation. Oh, it's so sweet. Annoying, fucking annoying. The conversation seemed to be wrapping up at the desk. Derek was doing the under-manager thing when someone more prominent and much more important was doing grown-up things. He stood awkwardly, looking anywhere but at me and his boss, Gabe. The handset of the phone was placed gently on the receiver stand of the plastic dial phone, and the angel paused over it, gathering his thoughts. I could see the stress. It was great. The fact that it was placed and not slammed was, well, it was a good sign in my eyes. One of the things I miss in the modern day with our little brilliant computer phones is you don't have the ability to slam the phone down. Well, you do, I suppose, but it just gets smashed to bits and it doesn't actually ring off, does it? I missed doing that, and I missed it being done to me, the smash down of the handset. It was often a challenge in some of my worst relationships. Conversations to see who would slam it down first in that lovely angry huff. I love a well-projected angry huff, and the mobile does not have that slammable huff-needed cover. Maybe I should invent an app. Everyone seems to have an app idea these days, don't they? Also, I was not the usual person to develop an app, I suppose. I was not snorting coke in your kitchen and talking shit. That's the usual app developer, is it not? Yeah, I think so. I think my app would be designed that you could put the phone down in a number of ways at the end of it by, pushing various buttons. You would have a button for various levels of aggressive slams, and then some of the others could be for, other situations. You could record the "no, you put it down first" for the honeymoon period of the relationship. You could leave that on repeat until the other person puts the phone down. I think of an idea that will make millions there. "Here, mate, pass me the baggie. I need a line." Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. The angel being was thinking what he was going to say. He looked up and, in a very grave manner, he looked towards me. He then turned and leaning his backside heavily on the desk, heavily for an angel, and he just started to explain what had happened. He was still confused. I could see that, and he was looking at the ground, and I could see he was considering his next action and how it was going to be done and its associated results. Okay. Will, is it? He asked, and I nodded. The thing we have here, Will, is that Lucifer has done a very bad thing, he continued. I laughed, thinking that he was joking, and then realised that the man would have had to have a sense of humour to understand why I was laughing in response to this. You know, Lucifer doing a bad thing, isn't that kind of what they do? Lucifer. Bad thing. Never mind. My laughter in response to his lack of response faded away and died. He sort of ignored this as though it had never sort of happened and looked at me as though I was one of the terminally stupid, which I suppose in his eyes I suppose I was. After the subtle death of his holy stare, he turned to Derek and spoke to him. Could you pass me his sins, Brother Derek? He asked the little man before turning to me and leaving his hand extended in Derek's direction without looking. I think he just expected it to be filled by the required information. Derek, at this point, was stunned and ended up sort of freezing. His body was locked. His eyes looked now at all the piles of papers that littered the desk, the floor, the computer, and about a 10-foot sort of circumference patch around everything. Time ticked on as the angel looked at me deeply and sincerely, and the Derek tried to work out what he was going to do about this. After another few moments, the angel shook his hand towards the little man as if to request it to be filled. Derek was now shifting between piles, reading the top sheets and looking at which, he should pass to his glorified boss. The angel turned back. Derek, is there nothing? He asked the man. No, sir, started Derek. Gabe to you, brother, the angel interrupted. Derek now stood looking at the eyes of the angelic individual host and picked his finger nervously while measuring up in his head what he was going to say. Oh, Derek, this man-person must have at least committed some sins. He laughed in an ingratiating manner. Oh, yes, he definitely sinned, and sinned plenty, sir. Gabe, I mean, he told the angel as he started to stare at the floor's detritus of evidence. Well, could you pass me the sheet, please, then? Requested Gabriel. Derek looked around again at all the piles. He then did his best to, present all of the piles of paper with a bow and a flourish. All these there is, and then we ran out of paper, so we didn't get 'em all, he told the now incredulous angel. It was great. The angel was in a state of shock and disbelief as he turned and scanning to view the piles and the fact that the printer was still pumping out invisible sins into the heavenly evening haze. Is that machine meant to do that? The angel asked Derek. I think it's trying to get rid of all those horrific sins from itself. It's meant to stop when paper runs out, he replied, shrugging. But it ain't, he said quietly under his breath. The angel again was struck dumb. He again was in deep thought. I mean, I could tell old Gabe was trying to sort all this out in his little brain. He looked at all the piles. He looked at Derek, to whom he then suddenly gave an engaging smile, and then turning to me, he started to talk. It seems, Will, is it? I nodded again. It's a bit rude in forgetting. It seems that Lucifer has made a mistake bringing you up here. I mean, he waved his hand to the piles of paper that littered the ground. This is, how can we describe it? It's an incredible body of work that you seem to have undertaken. I nodded and smiled in my pride when he continued. But, this place, this heaven, is not made for things, and by things I don't mean to insult you, it's just a describing word that seems appropriate to what we see here. I mean, 10 little sins or 1 or 2 big ones are normally all we see here from our, let's call them, interviewees. But this, again, he turned and showed the piles. Oh, and I suppose the fact that you punched me in the nose means that I am, well, I'm afraid, sir. Well, is it? I nodded again. That you belong down there. He pointed down with a finger as his face took on a strained face of mock horror. Okay, I said. This place is dull anyway. It was a lot more fun down there. How do I get back? I asked. It was a genuine question too. I must admit, punching an angel had been fun, but down there was, well, there was her for a start, and she was heavenly. Oh, and also the melting beasties that I enjoyed tormenting. It was fun. Now the angel looked dumbfounded by this request. He stood open-mouthed. He might have been one of heaven's mighty bright beings, but he was not a mightily bright being in the brain. What? You want to go back? He asked. I nodded, and Derek clapped his hands in happiness. The angel and the gatekeeper now looked at each other in great joy. I thought that you would not want to go back. I thought you were, you know, he said, pointing to his nose. I thought you may give us a little trouble, he said. No, I said, ringing off a naked salute to the being and saying, Just drop me straight back into the action, sir. I will clean that city up in a week, I told him. He did not understand the concept of sarcasm, but I appreciated it, and if Fen had been there, he would have laughed. I missed that laugh so much. I hoped I could see him again at some point, you know. At the missing of Fen, at this thought, I felt I wanted something different. Not hell. I mean, hell was fun and all that, but it wasn't like home where I belonged with my best buddy. I don't suppose you could just send me back home to Earth? I asked. You what? The angel shouted, horrified. You're dead! That's it. Game over and all that. 1-0, dead, he told me. I nodded, pulling a sad face. Please, I asked as I batted my eyelids at the big, hot, muscled Gabe. I will do anything to go back to Earth, I told him in a slightly camp but inviting voice. He looked at me, well, disgusted, and not taking his eyes off me, picked the handset up of the phone. He dialed the number on the spinning dial, of course. 666. Yay! And so played the girl from Ipanema. The phone was answered. Hi. You have to take this one, Lucy. Silence was the result on the other end of the line. I know you're there. It turns out that this werewolf thing you delivered here is a big bad sinner. He kind of tried to whisper that last bit of the conversation down the handset. As usual, I could hear him. I've got werewolf hearing, for God's sake. For God's sake. Again, silence on the other end of the line. Lucy? You have to take him. That's the rules and things. Again, he tried to whisper the following few words in the phone. He punched me in the face, he told the listener. Again, silence. I know you're there. You have to take him, Lucifer. You know this, he told her.
I don't think so.
Was the audible on the line. And then there was laughter. She was having fun. He put down the phone gently and turned towards me. His face was now held in his hands. I could smell the cog gear oil burning in his little angelic head. He held his forlorn pose for a while, and eventually he seemed to come up with an idea. Okay, what I've decided to do you then is not send you to hell. I would normally, but with you, I want you to, to have a chance. Was the greatest angel lying to me? I knew that Lucifer wouldn't have me back. This was great. I was making an angel lie. So what I think we do at this point is we send you back to Earth in order to give you, let's say, another chance. This time you will have to show your faith and help those in need to quash the sins that you've already committed. I am sending you back only so you can show penance and be a mighty example to the otherworldly souls. It was now as if he believed the lies he was telling me. In reality, I do not think he had really any other way of dealing with me apart from sending me back. Is that okay with you? He asked. Derek, well, he looked shocked and stunned at this outcome. He mouthed the word, really? I looked the angel deep in the eyes and made my scout's honour pledge and salute that I would return to Earth a really, really good person and not commit any more sins. Do you know what? I was going to be charitable and everything, I promise. My left hand was behind my back with fingers crossed, obviously. Who the fuck did this guy think he was? God? Then, he clicked his fingers and the heaven went dark and I was falling into darkness. Oh, this was exciting! Back to Earth, knowing that neither hell nor heaven wanted me. It was like being given free rein to do whatever I wanted, which, to be honest, was always the case. But I was special. Very, very special. And that's the end of the episode. Please go check out the description. There are links to groups in Facebook, and we have Twitter. Is it Twitter now or is it X now? Where you can come and follow us on there. And there is stuff on TikTok, because I'm one of the kids and I'm down with that now, and Instagram and things. So please come on that. Go check out the other episodes that we have. Please share and review, because it means a lot. Those people who've shared and reviewed, thank you so much. It just brings us up the what's it called, charts and stuff. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening. You are wonderful people. You're very weird if you get this stuff, but thanks for listening. You're wonderful. Love you. And may God bless your soul.